Welcome back to Weeknight Mysteries podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about mysteries and sometimes topics that our listeners suggest to us to discuss. And today we're going to be talking about Marshal Iwaasa's case, which is something that has been suggested by one of our listeners. I'm your host, Euros, and I'm here with my co-host,
Rain, as always. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
How are you today?
I'm good. So today we're going to be talking about Marshal Iwaasa's strange disappearance. This topic has been suggested by us, for us, by a listener called Chickriz. I don't know. It's a YouTube.
Thank you so
listener.
much, and we're sorry in advance if we butchered your name.
Yeah, thank you very much. I somehow completely missed Marshall's case. I assume you've never heard about it as well.
Before this, no, not at all.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it. On November 17th, which was a Sunday in 2019, 5 years ago, or I would say 6 years ago at this point, 26-year-old Marshal Iwaasa from Canada spent the day doing chores at his rented house in Calgary, Alberta. In the evening, he drove to Lethbridge, where he helped his mom with a computer issue. He was also originally from that city. He left his mom's house around 11 p.m. to go to a storage locker that he shared with his sister. Marshall attempted to access the locker multiple times that night, and he finally succeeded at around 6 a.m. the next morning, and he stayed there for over 2 hours. He was last seen in the area where the storage locker is located at around 8:30 a.m. in the morning on November 18. This was already Monday. 5 days later, his burned-out truck was found approximately over 1,200 kilometers away near Pemberton, British Columbia, in the west coast of, on the western side of Canada, with some of his belongings missing. Marshall has not been seen since, and there are no answers about his truck, how it ended up there, and what happened to Marshall. Strange case, right? What jumped to you when you started looking into it?
It was one of those creepy ones. Like, it seemed like everything was going completely normal until out of the blue, his car was found burnt in the middle of nowhere. I find that very creepy. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so to me at first I was kind of thinking maybe this could be self-harm incident.
Yeah.
But then the more I kept looking at the details, and I would say the details that would, maybe suggest a different outcome, maybe a more foul play outcome, I was thinking, man, I feel like there is really room here for this to be something else.
That's right.
Than my, initial. Because didn't you initially think that this could be self-harm?
That was my first thought. Yeah, like, I don't know. It looked very convenient to be self-harm, but by the looks of it, why would you burn your car like that?
So I'll tell you a little bit about Marshall's background. He was born on January 3rd, 1993 in Lethbridge, like in the same city where he was last seen. I think Lethbridge is 100,000 people, something like that. It's a city in Alberta, and it is, I would say, quite not necessarily a really small city. Like you wouldn't call it a town. By the looks of it, it has everything it needs, but it's not necessarily a huge metropolis either. His sister Paige described Marshall as a quiet, gentle, and kind man. He played football and rugby growing up, and he enjoyed outdoors activities like camping. After finishing school, he became focused on fitness and bodybuilding, and he gained friends in that field. He had, in general, a close close-knit, small circle of friends from his hometown. That's how it was described. He was working various jobs all throughout his young adult life, including grocery work, some manual labor positions as well. Eventually, he enrolled in an IT program in the Southern Alberta Institute in Technology in Calgary. So he had some friends in Calgary, but his social circle remained small. I think most of his friends were still in around Lethbridge. So it to me looks like he only went to Calgary because of his IT studies. I believe that was the only reason he was there. Or do you have any other?
No, from what I researched is also I got into the same conclusion. He was just there for the studies.
So did you find anything about his employment at the time?
No, I was supposed to ask you about it.
Yeah, I have no idea
There
as
was
well.
nothing, right? I was assuming he was unemployed.
I don't know about his employment situation either, because at 26, if you're doing studies in Canada, renting a room in Calgary, you probably need money.
And it's a city, yeah. Probably a dormitory, Was he living in a dormitory?
I think he was living with a family. He was renting a room or something like that.
Oh.
It's kind of never really explained. His sister Paige had moved to Hawaii 6 years before the disappearance of Marshall. So I think by the time Marshall was 20. However, the two of them, they stayed very close and they did speak on a regular basis. Marshall would visit Hawaii every Christmas and they celebrated the holidays as well as their birthdays because they were born kind of like close to each other. So when he would fly to Hawaii for the Christmas, I feel like they also would celebrate their birthdays together as well. And it was more like a family tradition to go to Hawaii for Christmas every year. So, I mean, that has to be quite expensive.
Yeah.
Unless they
Would
were
it be?
staying, unless they were staying with Paige, then maybe it wouldn't be that expensive. But still, like flying to Hawaii, the flight tickets in general
True.
for every
They're
Christmas.
not cheap.
They're not cheap. So I do think like he would have to have some money somewhere, right?
But it's a very nice tradition, though.
Yeah. So the last time Paige saw her brother Marshall was during a family reunion and camping trip in Montana in the summer of 2019, in the summer leading up to his disappearance. They had also visited the storage unit together because, they were both owning a storage unit. I think they just kept a bunch of belongings in that storage unit together. There were books, tools, camping gear, Christmas ornaments, things of that nature in the storage unit. I did not find any suspicious belongings or items to be placed in that storage unit. You didn't run into any of that
No,
either.
just the regular stuff.
Yeah, when Paige returned to Honolulu that summer in 2019, she left several items for Marshall so he would put them back in the storage unit. It was never mentioned what exactly did Paige leave him. That same summer, the family believed that Marshall was planning to return to his IT course in Calgary for the fall semester. However, he seemed hesitant and avoided direct questions about his school. He also allegedly hinted that a degree might not be necessary in his field in that particular IT course or something. He was suggesting that maybe he wasn't planning to return to the IT course in the fall, but he never really specified. He didn't openly say that he wasn't going to not return there. And after Marshall went missing that November in 2019, the family did discover that he had actually not enrolled back in school that fall. And according to his sister Paige, Marshall was likely stressed and possibly due to this school stuff or something like that. But there were no major issues that she would know of. And she described him as a private and non-confrontational person. Yeah.
It sounded like he was earning money outside of school, to be honest, by the sound of it.
By the sound of it, unless it's like you take a student loan and the student loan also covers your housing, so you kind of drop out of the school, but your loan still covers the rent. I was thinking maybe that's the explanation here.
But what about what he said, like, and the way he said it, like you don't necessarily need a degree to earn something?
Yeah, what I made of it is that maybe he means that, in IT, it's more about like what you know rather than what you finished. Because it's all about like what actual skills do you have.
But you still need a degree though, because it's one of those fields that you would need a proof to show,
I think they have different ways to prove it.
Oh, really? You think
Yeah,
so?
they will ask for what you've worked on. They will give you a little test. I think IT is not the type of field where you just pull out a bunch of degrees.
Like a MBA. It's like, okay, here,
you don't
make
pull
me a
out
manager.
don't pull out a bunch of degrees. They won't give you this job. They will, you'll have to do tests. So if they could see that you could do it, I don't think they even need the degree.
That's true, but it sounded like he was earning something, like he's making a career out of himself outside of the school by the sound of it.
Yeah, but this was never really indicated anywhere online, as far as I could see, right?
Nope.
So let's jump to November 17, on the day when he went missing, or shortly before he went missing. Marshal Iwaasa's last known financial activity was Friday, which was November 15th. I don't know exactly what was his financial activity. Have you seen it? I don't think it's mentioned anywhere.
No, it wasn't mentioned anywhere.
So that Sunday on November 17, the same day when he went missing, well, he kind of went missing the next day in the early morning hours. So let's say one day before he went missing. He spent the day doing chores in Calgary in the rented home. Later on, after he went already missing, his sister Paige went to that apartment, and she said that it was unusually clean. Like,
So was she pretending that he wasn't super neat
usually, yeah, but this was unusually clean.
or like unlived in?
No, I think what she's saying is that he cleaned it up really well before he went missing, which is kind of giving me some sort of indication that this is important. Don't you find it important that on the same day that he goes missing, he unusually well or like unusually cleans his apartment really neatly?
I would say it seems like an indication that he would live somewhere else, or he would leave for a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, right.
Like he's going on a trip, like a month-long trip, maybe even longer, and he had to clean the spot.
Yeah, but he never mentioned anything to his family that he would be doing that. And at this point, it's November, so he had been keeping a secret of him no longer being in the university course for a month. So at this point, he's
very secretive.
At this point, he's already keeping something away from the family, and now he cleans his apartment really well. That same evening, he drove to his mother's house in Lethbridge, which is around 2 hours drive in the southern direction from Calgary. Actually, where they lived is really kind of close to the USA border, the state of Montana border, So he drives to his mother's house to help with a computer issue. So I assume his mother told him that, she needs some help with a computer thing. And we don't know exactly how long he spends there or what he does in Lethbridge, but we know that he leaves his mother's home at 11 p.m. He said that he is going to the storage locker room, storage unit. And after that, he said that he would be heading back to Calgary for school. So he's already dropped out of school. So clearly he's lying here to his mother because, So we don't know exactly what his real intentions were, other than it seems that he did make his way to the storage locker rooms. So these storage locker rooms, they're located in the northern part of town, northern part of Lethbridge. It's, I would say, maybe more of this like industrial location. So I spent some time trying to find exactly the location where these locker storage units are, but I wasn't able to kind of find it. I don't know. It was never really mentioned online. And I looked around. There were several different, I think, storage locker unit facilities there. But exactly where it was described online, like in between which like streets, there was nothing there. Nothing that seemed like a storage unit facility. So I just couldn't find it. But did you see any like images or videos or anything like during your research? I couldn't find anything.
I couldn't find anything at all.
Yeah, same here. So this is where the weird stuff starts happening. He goes to the unit and he arrived at the storage unit around 11:30 p.m. He made multiple unsuccessful attempts to unlock the storage unit, and this was proven by access logs. So Marshall was trying to enter the code to open up the storage unit multiple times and it didn't work. And there are two lines of thinking here, and I found like, different opinions about it. So some sources just described it as, you would think it would be like basically him not knowing the right code and him messing up, not knowing the code, which would be strange.
That's what I was supposed to tell you. I was very curious about that. Like, do you think he could have potentially been drunk? It was late at night and he could have just remembered the code on the top of his head. Or do you think someone changed it? A family member?
So what I found also was that other sources claim that the facility only starts working at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh.
So he may have been trying to access the facility and then basically go back for school. Oh, no, sorry,
wait.
not for school. What am I saying? He was trying to access the unit, but he kept checking if it would start working by now.
I see.
So he tried a few times and he only gained access just after 6 a.m. Right after.
Understandably so.
So I'm kind of like willing to believe this more. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm willing to believe more that it opened up right after the facility started working in the morning.
Yeah, I'm with you on this.
He stayed there for roughly 2 hours and 30 minutes until 8:30 a.m.
2 hours and 30 minutes? Like, what are you doing there? Maybe fixing all this stuff?
It's a long time to be in there.
Way too long.
Right? So there's several things that are weird about this whole thing. First of all, why is he not driving to Calgary? He doesn't have any school. He's only lying to his parents about having to go to school. So why is he there waiting for hours throughout the whole night? It's strange.
It's very strange.
Other question is, why is he not driving back to his mother's home and explaining her, oh, the storage unit opens up at 6, so I'm just gonna crash here until it opens.
This was during school time, right?
November, yeah.
So maybe that's the reason why he didn't go back, because he didn't want his family to think that, oh, he's not in uni.
Yeah, because if he would have done that, then maybe his whole lying about school would be found out.
Yeah, would be exposed, yep.
Okay.
I'm assuming it happened that way, but it could be maybe he was hiding something in that storage unit and he didn't want anyone to find out. Maybe he's trying to access something.
That's true. That also could be a possibility. That is the last known trace of Marshall. It's unclear if he was alone at the storage unit, and there's no video or evidence of what happened after that. All of his belongings, including his camping gear, were still in the unit, so it did seem like he didn't get anything from the unit that he would need for a potential trip.
But he did take something from the unit, right?
So it was never properly explained. I've seen some sources mention that he took nothing.
He was there for 2 hours and 30.
Yeah. So there
Maybe
must
he was rearranging things?
so there must be something important there, you know?
Or maybe he was organizing stuff. But why go there late at night and wait until it finally opens up at 6 a.m.
And
so
you
you
could
could
just
organize
drive.
stuff?
You could just drive back to Calgary, sleep. You don't have school the next day and go back.
Or like wait till the weekend.
So it seemed to me that whatever he needed from that unit, he needed pretty
Urgently.
badly.
Yeah.
And it was something that he wouldn't want to tell his parents about.
And did you find out if anyone else other than the family has an access to it?
So I think his sister has an access because
Yeah.
it was a shared unit. But I think that's pretty much it.
That's all we know, but he could be hiding something, like his friends knew about that unit and so on.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
And no footages of anyone other than him accessing that unit.
Yeah, apparently we do not have any footage from the unit.
Interesting.
Let's skip a few days later to November 23rd. Marshall's burnt out truck was discovered at a remote trailhead to the Brian Waddington Hut. Brian Waddington Hut is just, I think, like a Airbnb or something where you could just rent it out and go camping there. It's in a pretty secluded location in British Columbia, near the city of Pemberton. So this was approximately a 14-hour drive from Lethbridge, so really far away, half across Canada basically. The trailhead is difficult to access, and it required four-wheel drive, and it is not reachable by GPS. It is far off the main road, and not a place that someone would accidentally find. So it's bizarre because his burnt out truck was found across Canada. The truck was found by a group of hikers who were en route to the Brian Waddington Hut. They were the only people registered at the hut at that time to be staying there. They came across the torched truck and found scattered items nearby. The items included smashed phones. There were 3 smashed phones in total. All of them were linked to Marshall. There were some of his clothing. There was an Xbox, a PlayStation, and an expired passport. This was Marshall's passport. Several of Marshall's important belongings, like his phone, I believe the good phone, a laptop, backpack, wallet, and contact lenses were missing, and they have never been found. And parts of the truck were also stripped, like a steering wheel column was also taken out of the truck, which is bizarre because a steering wheel column is not something you just randomly take out. You need to know how to take it out. The steering wheel column is a very kind of like a very specific technical part of a vehicle. It's like not the steering wheel itself, but it's like a part like that you don't see.
Oh, it's inside.
It's inside of the car. Like you only see the steering wheel, but the column is like something that is like even deeper into the car. It's kind of connected to your steering wheel, but
So what is it? Was it his?
Yeah.
Or was it like something extra? Maybe he bought it in like a hardware store.
No, every car needs it. And that was his truck's steering wheel column that was taken out. I don't really know what that means, but I'm just guessing that if you take it out, the steering wheel stops working. That's my guess.
Yeah.
So it's strange. So it's almost like someone took it out and then they burned the truck.
Well, that's a good way to hide evidence.
I think it's very important to know that the personal stuff, the stuff that Marshall would have on him, like the immediate items, were all missing.
Interesting.
Like his phone, his like contact lenses, passport, wallet, backpack, all of that stuff was still not there. So it almost seems like, and you could believe that Marshall didn't go there, or Marshall was there but he left the truck there, or Marshall was never even driving half across Canada to begin with. It's kind of bizarre.
Do you think he was the one who did it to his car?
I don't know. What do you think?
It's very interesting. I don't know for sure either. Because it could be either way. It could be someone else did it, maybe dispose of his body, or it was him who did it and left.
And left.
And walked away.
But that would be such a weird thing to do. One of the hikers who stumbled upon the vehicle, his name was James Stark. He described the site as having an eerie crime scene-like atmosphere. And after seeing that, the group of hikers, they turned back and they didn't even reach their hut. They turned back because they said they did not want to run into some trouble up ahead.
Yeah, it's very creepy. If you're in the middle of nowhere, just randomly hiking, and you see that.
It just looks like a crime scene. Marshall had no ties to Pemberton, or at least nothing that his family knew. So after the hikers reported the discovery to police, it took police 2 days to reach the scene due to the challenging terrain. And by the time they had arrived on November 25th, something had already changed at the site, but it was not clear what. And how we know that? How we know that something changed at the site was that the hikers took some pictures of the site when they found the truck on the 23rd of November, and then the law enforcement took pictures on the 25th, I believe. And when the family compared the two pictures together from two sets of, parties, things were aligned in a different way, like personal belongings, and some things were missing and some things were added. And
wait, what?
Yeah, so it's pretty bizarre. We have some images here. I don't know if you could find, if you would like scroll down to like our file. I have a couple of these images that are circling online, and I would like to take a look at them together with you. It's like almost at the very end of the file. There's gonna be like these like images. I'm even gonna show you so you could find it easier. This at the very end of the file. Two
Okay,
sets.
1 second. Let me try to find it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna describe what we're looking at here. So we have two sets of pictures, one from the hikers and one from the Canadian police. Have you been able to find it?
Yep.
Yes, perfect. So if you would kind of like zoom in to the pictures, to the first set of the two comparison images, it is strange because like the one thing that I could see as an interesting thing, I think we see like all kinds of like circles, like colored circles, and you could see like these things apparently really don't add up. Like for example, the green circle seems like the phones were only placed in the specific location after police came and checked on the stuff 2 days later. Do you see the green circle with the phones?
Yeah, I could see it. It's a little hard to see because they're from two different angles.
Yeah, two different angles. These weren't like perfectly aligned images that were done. So I guess the family really took it upon themselves to kind of like try to figure it out. I also find it interesting, the red circle. I believe it's a knife. It looks to me like a knife. I'm not sure if it's a knife, but or like a...
From the picture from the hikers, doesn't really look like a knife. It looks more like an umbrella or something.
Actually, you're right. It's not an umbrella. But the thing is, whatever it is, it looks like it's kind of like in the opposite, looking at the opposite direction now,
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't notice that.
right?
Okay, from the pictures from the hikers, it kind of looks like an umbrella or something. But
Yeah.
from the police pictures, kind of looks more like a knife.
And that yellow circle, what is that? It feels like to me like some sort of a bag, like a
Or like a pillow, or
like a pillow
yeah.
wrapped in a plastic bag. Like that's how I would describe it. I don't know. But now in the picture taken 2 days later by police, it's gone.
I would like to say that maybe there's a possibility that it was not the disappearance of these items were not necessarily like connected to the crime. Maybe, I mean, of course, it could be, most likely, but it's also in I would say, a public place. Someone innocent must have been there, saw a bunch of those, maybe took a loot. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say the same thing. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, that a passerby maybe scavenged through the stuff. Like, I would like to know how often people walk there, but knowing that there is a hut nearby that you could rent. And I think maybe this was a good season for hiking. I don't know. Maybe there were like some other people going through it, and they maybe just scavenged through the
Yeah, and the
stuff.
phone was missing. Of course, that would be the first one to go. No.
Yeah.
If for example you're like just a random person walking in the forest and then you see a free phone,
The thing is, I don't think this is the type of forest where.
you would just randomly stumble in.
No, I think the people that walk on these trails, I think they're maybe like
They have a purpose.
they're never like scavengers. I think these people are like specifically there like hiking. So I don't think most of them wouldn't, in my opinion, just steal stuff,
True.
especially from a site like this. It's not.
That looks like a crime scene.
Yeah, it doesn't look like some dangerous downtown area where there would be a bunch of people looking to steal this stuff. I just don't feel like that's the case.
No, that's true. I mean, there's always a possibility, right?
Well, of course, there's always a possibility for that. So, November 26th, one day after police got to the place, Marshal Iwaasa's mother and sister, they were both in Hawaii at the time, because the mother, shortly after, I think, Marshall disappeared, she went to Hawaii, but she didn't know that Marshall disappeared at this point, so she's just going to Hawaii like nothing ever happened.
A random day.
A random day. She receives a call from police informing her that Marshall's truck had been found in a remote area near Pemberton, British Columbia. Initially, police didn't tell her much details about it, and they apparently didn't realize that the truck had been burned. Marshall's sister Paige thought it may have been stolen, and she started calling friends and family to check if anyone heard from Marshall. Marshall's relatives quickly started searching locally in Lethbridge, but no one had seen or spoken to him for at least several days at that point, and they couldn't explain why his truck would be found so far away on the other side of Canada.
Oh, come on. How come the police didn't know it was burnt? It was clearly burnt, no?
No, I think police didn't specify to the family that it was burnt. That's what I'm saying. Like, police didn't. They said
Really say like,
it
oh,
was
it was
burnt.
burnt.
They said the truck was found. But I think the family didn't connect the dots that it was burnt at that point,
Okay.
And so they couldn't get a hold of Marshall. The days that followed were chaotic and stressful for the family as they tried to make sense of the situation from Hawaii. Within 3 days, they launched the Find Marshal Iwaasa Facebook group to raise awareness. This Facebook group kind of blew up. It has a lot of people there. I went on it, and people are offering kind of interesting theories on what happened, and they're trying to connect the dots. They're proposing several culprits, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. Financial records showed that there were no gas purchases on transactions along the way, raising suspicion that someone else may have been driving the truck. So the only explanation I have is it possible that Marshall is using cash? And
Yes.
I was wondering, did he ever withdraw a huge chunk of cash? before he went
That's
missing?
a very good question, and we don't have any information about this, no?
No, we don't. Marshall's family pointed out the discrepancies between the pictures taken by hikers and the police. Items apparently had been moved according to the family, some were missing or added, and some objects like gaming consoles were later discovered not to belong to Marshall. So this was the most interesting thing for me. So among the stuff that was scattered around the truck, there were also gaming consoles. I believe a PlayStation and an Xbox. And at first the family thought that it was, Marshall's, because Marshall did own these things. But then they later found Marshall's consoles back, I believe, in Calgary or something like that, or maybe in the storage unit, I forgot. So these were someone else's gaming consoles. But I'm also thinking these could be consoles that Marshall bought and never told anyone about it.
That's true. But then again, where would he get the money?
These things are not necessarily very expensive if they're secondhand. And I'm thinking there was also thrown out some explanation that he may have been fixing them for other people. Maybe that's what he was doing to get money. Fixing consoles to get...
But no one really
came forward
and claimed those.
That's a very good point. So how would you explain that? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if a friend of mine borrowed my console and that friend went missing and my console was found in, let's say, a crime scene, I would come forward and be like, yeah, that's mine. He borrowed it a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was this never came out. So I'm thinking maybe if no one comes after these, so in my head it's either Marshall bought it and it's actually his, or these are stolen.
Stolen? From whom and how?
Yeah, these are very good questions.
I'm gonna go to the simpler route of
That he bought it.
He bought it.
And it was like
A second-hand quick transaction.
And his parents just never heard about it.
Yeah, because it's easy to buy a console. You don't necessarily have to tell anyone about it.
No, you don't. Another connecting detail, concerning detail, was that the truck's steering column was removed, and the police confirmed that they did not take it. And despite these irregularities, none of the items at the scene have been tested for DNA or fingerprints, and police stated that without reasonable grounds to suspect a DNA-designated crime, they are not authorized to test the evidence. Sister Paige expressed frustration that key questions remain unanswered, like who really drove the truck, who was at the scene during those 2 days, and why items not belonging to Marshall were found there. So I think these are very reasonable questions. But what do you make of the fact that police didn't DNA test the scene?
I think it's terrible, but maybe there's a reason why. I don't know. Maybe because it was burnt, they assumed that there wouldn't be any fingerprints.
So I think they didn't test because they didn't think there was foul play involved initially.
Oh,
so
yeah.
do you think it was a smart decision from police to not test the scene, or do you see a reasonable, I don't know, logic here not to test the?
I think it should have been tested.
More forensic testing. Yeah, I wish also it was tested, but police apparently did not they did not think that it was required here.
But why though? Because they never found a body.
So they were thinking that this is a runaway, and he was, and they worded it that Marshall was an adult and he had all the rights to go missing. So I think they looked at the scene and they did not think there was a crime related, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, very interesting.
After Marshall was reported missing, border authorities confirmed he hadn't entered the US and Canadian pawn shops. hadn't crossed the U.S. border. He hadn't entered any Canadian pawn shops. Despite extensive searches by family, police, and private investigators, no traces of Marshall or his missing items had been found. So the missing items were his personal items that were not at the truck scene. On December 4, 2019, the initial search was suspended due to snowmelt, and the investigation was handed from Pemberton police to Lethbridge police. In May of 2020, cadaver dogs searched the truck site, but nothing was found. Another large-scale search was conducted in June of 2020 with helicopters, ATVs, and search teams, including the first police effort to investigate how Marshall's truck was burned. As of nearly 9 months later, no one knew what happened to Marshall after he accessed the storage unit at 8:30 a.m. on November 18. In 2019, his route to Pemberton is also unknown, and there has been no phone or financial activity ever since. And I think family hired at some point a private investigation team, and they determined that the fire was caused due to arson, which I think that's what we were also assuming to begin with.
Definitely.
I never assumed that it caught fire on its own. It looks like it was driven to a very remote location, and then the steering wheel column was taken out, and then it was burned, which is very bizarre.
I still don't understand why that certain piece was taken out, but I do agree with you. It seems very convenient that, like, in a secure location, no one was around, a car was just burnt.
To me, it seems like maybe the steering wheel column is like the easiest way to make the car immobile. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
Because I feel like if you cut down the tire, something, like maybe you could change the tire or something. I don't know. But like to remove a steering wheel column, that will permanently mean that this car is undrivable, no matter what you do, you know? Like you can't move the wheels.
Yeah, I agree, but why take it out though? Do you think Marshall was there in that area?
To make sure that it's not gonna move or something? I don't know.
So do you think Marshall was there in that same area, and there was someone with him?
You know, I'm also thinking, is there a possibility that I don't know exactly who was there or how it went down, but they take out the steering wheel column, they scatter and they leave, and that was it. And then maybe some rowdy hikers cross by, they scavenge through stuff, they lay stuff out, and then they set the thing on fire. So I'm thinking, I don't know how exactly Marshall would end up in that location, okay? Or it may have been someone else driving his truck, whatever. One way or another, I'm thinking, is there a possibility that whatever happened already happened, and then another next few days or something like that, some rowdy group of, like hikers cross by that place, and they trashed the place and set it on fire. And maybe what I'm saying is that the fire is maybe not related to what initially happened to Marshall, that like some unrelated group of people set it on fire.
I don't think so.
Because you know why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because why are you gonna take out the steering wheel column and then set the car on fire? It's already not drivable.
To remove the evidence. Maybe you were there. Your DNA is all over the place.
Ah, that's a very good point.
Because I was thinking...
Actually, I really want to say that this is a good... Yeah, you beat me with this logic, for sure.
No, it's just, I'm thinking it's already a secured place. And as you mentioned before, it's not a kind of place wherein just rowdy people just go and hang out.
Exactly. I'm having a hard time to believe that as well.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that whoever found the car, for example, is completely in a pristine condition. They wouldn't just go and steal all the stuff. By the way, there was also a phone found by the hikers initially.
Three phones.
So
but they were all smashed.
They were all smashed.
Yeah, I don't think any of the like really working valuables were there.
Why would you smash a phone if you're trashing everything? Why not take the phones and maybe even take the car?
I felt like those smashed phones were already smashed by Marshall.
But why? That means he was hiding something, or someone smashed it.
Or just a dude who has a lot of phones,
No way.
a lot of electronics.
No way.
No
you
way.
you would never smash a phone. No?
He maybe have bought a smashed phone of someone, trying to fix it.
Trying to fix it, yeah. Could be.
Could be, right?
Could be.
Okay, so Marshall's family, led by his sister Paige, they were initially they were prevented from accessing the truck site because of allegedly safety concerns by the police. When they were doing the searches, they were finally able to visit the site in early July with the help of some, volunteers who had four-wheel trucks. His sister Paige was convinced that Marshall had not been there when they finally got to the truck, and she said that possibly not at all, due to an extreme difficulty to reach the site. So basically, they had such a hard time getting to the place. They were only able to get to the site like 8 months later. After
that's crazy.
Yeah, after Marshall went missing. So she said that she doesn't think that Marshall went there because it was very difficult to get there. Private investigators hired by the family conducted thorough searches using their cadaver dogs and other resources. They concluded that there was no body at the site. So this reinforced the family's belief that basically that Marshall was never at the scene. And they think it was time for police to treat Marshall's disappearance as a criminal case, not just as a missing persons case. Because if he was not there, then that means that someone took his truck, which is already a criminal investigation. But I think police are saying that they believe that he did go there on his own accord. That's why they're not investigating it as a criminal matter. Major frustration is the police failure to investigate the fire that destroyed Marshall's truck when it was first found. A proper fire investigation only happened a month later at the family's insistence, and Paige is still waiting on the results at the time, but I think they already know that it was arson. So this is Marshal Iwaasa's disappearance. It's a strange case. What do you, because we're gonna jump into some other stuff really quickly. I have another kind of case that I'm gonna ask for your thoughts on it. I'm not sure if you found that other potentially related case, but in general, what are your thoughts so far about Marshall's case?
And we're not talking about the theories yet, right?
No, not necessarily. Just anything that jumps out to your mind.
Okay, initially I thought it was self-harm, but I'm getting more and more convinced that someone did it. Mainly because of the car. I do think he was involved in something not probably super legal, but the way the car was
burnt out like that?
Yep. Phones were smashed, and the whole thing of it being in the secluded spot sounds like someone was intentionally trying to hide their tracks. It could be Marshall, it could be someone else, but I'm just saying it seems like very intentionally done. And by the looks of it, since Marshall is still missing right now, I think maybe it could have been someone else.
I have to agree with that. To me it also seems like this is something very like to drive that truck so far away and then burn it. Mm-hmm. It feels like you don't want that truck to be found.
Yeah, and what kind of convinces me that it wasn't him is that he had a good family life. He's okay with his parents. He has a sister in Hawaii and they're constantly there. It just sounds like too much to cut the family connection,
That he would run away.
He would run away.
But what about self-harm? Because he's already lying
Where's
about...
the body?
He's already lying about the...
Mm-hmm. I agree. But what about the body, though? Because if he already burnt that car, that means he's somewhere around the area.
He should be. Yeah.
He should be.
Maybe they didn't find it.
Maybe.
Now I want to bring up Daniel Reoch. Let's just say Reoch. Daniel Reoch, okay. This is an interesting content. This is when you start digging a little bit more into this Marshal Iwaasa case. When you go on Reddit, when you go on Facebook, things are kind of like being thrown out. Okay, so we have Daniel Reoch, a man from Squamish, which is kind of close to Pemberton. It's not Alberta, it's, British Columbia, kind of close to where Marshall was found, It's apparently a 1-hour drive away from Pemberton. This man, Daniel Reoch, he had a lot of challenges growing up. In his life, his mother was a drug addict who eventually was murdered at the age of 25. This man, Daniel, was raised by his uncle's family, who really cared for him. They lived in Edmonton. After a while, he moved back to Squamish, to a Native Canadian reservation. He had 2 kids with his girlfriend, so I believe he has Native Canadian descent, Eventually, his demons caught up to him and he went down a path of drug addiction. He was well known to police due to his many run-ins with the law. Daniel Reoch was last seen on a ranch north of Squamish, near his reservation. He was clearly intoxicated, so the ranch owner called police. They held him for a day before releasing him. He was at his aunt's house acting strange after he was released, and then he walked off the back deck and as he was acting strange, and he was never seen alive again. Now, his car was found idling with his cell phone still inside of it on November 25th, 2 days after Marshall's truck was found by the hikers. And I think these are I'm not sure exactly how close these locations are, but I assume it's general vicinity. He wasn't declared missing until January 7th of 2020, way after he was last seen. So he was not declared missing for a month, this man. His uncle said that this was bizarre because it was a tiny reservation in Squamish. How did they not know that Daniel is missing? Anyways, now we have another suspect, okay? So this suspect is mentioned only by the name of M, but I even think I have his name somewhere later on. Oh yeah, so this would be a person called Rob Kerr. I believe Rob Kerr. Okay, so let's talk about Rob Kerr. And I know there's a bunch of names here, but I'm gonna connect everything right now. Okay, so Rob Kerr comes forward. Someone comes forward to tell the. Okay, so M is not Rob Kerr. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Okay.
Dude, do you still follow with me?
There's a guy named M and there's a guy named Kier, and they're not connected.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that Marshall and Daniel Reoch, they kind of went missing at the same time. And these are real people with real stories, right? So there's someone called M, whoever this person is. They come forward to tell police that they saw, this is basically just a witness. Let's just say witness. A witness comes to the police and they say that they had seen both Dan and Marshall together at a bar in Squamish. They were sitting together, and with them was a third man, a very scaring looking character who seemed to have control over both Daniel and Marshall. So this witness said that Marshall looked nervous as he tried to get money out of an ATM and he was not able to get some money out and he left. Dan and the witness, they shared a cigarette at some point, maybe outside of the bar. Dan mentioned to this witness, he said, "I think that guy is going to kill us tonight." And he was referring to that scary looking guy who was with him and with Marshall. Marshall family believes this witness. They believe the statement. They say that this witness story has never changed. Dan was apparently a talented musician and he had left his guitar behind the bar that night. A few days after this encounter, police returned to collect Dan's guitar. And that's where the story has told, because I guess they didn't find any more information about Daniel Reoch. And Daniel Reoch, as I believe, is right now a missing man. And so the connection, it goes even deeper because of... I'm gonna try to find this. The connection is even deeper because I went on Reddit, okay?
Okay.
I went on Reddit and I found a very interesting thread.
Let me guess, it's something about weeds.
No, but
Oh, nice. Okay, because I also found something very convincing, and I was hoping.
Really?
Yeah, I was hoping it was different from yours.
No, this is different.
Okay.
Okay, so let me quickly walk you through what I found.
All right.
There's a Reddit thread on Barely Sociable subreddit. There's Barely Sociable is the name of a subreddit.
Interesting.
And there's
choice.
a Reddit thread on it. And it goes, I think I solved the Pemberton case. And this person is basically who's writing this. I'm not gonna basically read all of it, but the small recap. Marshall goes missing. 5 days later, all sorts of his stuff from his storage unit, as well as his truck, is found on another side of Canada. Among his stuff was Daniel's stuff. Apparently, Daniel's family said that the stuff found around Marshall's truck belonged to Daniel. The same stuff that Daniel had in his own car. And both of their things were mixed up together.
Ooh.
The next day, after that discovery, Daniel gets into a fight with a friend in the same place he lives at and shows up at his aunt's house and then steps off the back deck. Remember, like, Marshall's truck was found by the hikers on the 23rd and Daniel was last seen on the 25th. So
Yes.
right after Marshall's truck was found on the 23rd, he gets into a fight.
Okay.
But Marshall's truck was already found with Daniel's stuff with it. So somehow Daniel's stuff got mixed up with Marshall's truck. But Daniel was still alive at that point because he was getting into a fight kind of where he lived at still. It's kind of hard to keep track, but please bear with me here. And 3 hours after he had the fight or something like that, his car was found idling outside of his aunt's house. His aunt was told that perpetrator number one moved Daniel's car at some point. This is unconfirmed to be true, just what she was told. In Daniel's car, only his phone was found, not his wallet nor bags or belongings. Anyways, going back, I think they're accusing a man by the name of Rob Kerr to be involved because Rob Kerr is a known criminal who used to rob storage units. And I think how this theory, I probably should have done a better job of like connecting the dots even for myself. But people are bringing out Rob Kerr and they're saying that he is a known storage unit robber who may have robbed
Rob the robber. Sorry.
He robbed the robber. He robbed potentially Marshall in Lethbridge and drove all the way back to British Columbia because he was outside of British Columbia for a few days or something like that, conveniently at the same time as Marshal Iwaasa was trying to gain access. So it's this type of a theory.
It's a little bit far-fetched.
Okay, what do you have?
I would say it's very interesting, yours. Mine is... It was deleted 3 years ago, but it's still here. Maybe the profile was deleted.
No, it's the profile that was deleted.
Okay, sorry. So, whoever this person was, he left a comment, or she left a comment saying that I moved marijuana packages before it was legalized here in Canada. This was almost identical to the way we did things. We would move them inside boxes disguised as moving boxes, or Canada Post packages. We would fill them with household goods, and it helped prevent cops from riffling through things if you get pulled over. They can't start opening up sealed boxes without a warrant. Also, empty game consoles is a common MO for moving drugs and cash. Self-storage was used a lot. You would think so because there's so many... You wouldn't think so because there's so many cameras and security. But they're viewed as kind of a neutral territory, since generally people aren't going to try something when they're known they're being recorded. And...
This is very interesting. Please
I
go
know,
on.
right?
Dude, I'm just like... I'm very interested in this.
Yeah, and someone, Offensive X, 3 years ago, replied to that comment saying, I was also in the industry both pre and post legalization. Storage lockers played a huge role in exchange of items, so it is probably given that the business he was... It was probably a given that it's the business he was in.
He was in the illegal marijuana distribution. Oh my god.
Most storage locker owners have more loyalty to the cash flow than the law enforcement, and it wouldn't be uncommon for footage to get corrupted or accidentally be taken to an empty locker.
So you're thinking so what these... first of all, I'm such a great find. I'm like very interested in what you're saying right now. But as I understand what these people are saying, that potentially the owners of the storage unit, they may have been in on it.
And
or
some
they
files
knew.
have been corrupted.
Yeah, okay.
And apparently self-storage are basically part of the game.
Oh my god.
And also empty consoles.
Wow, I would have never guessed
Me too. It was...
that they used, but it makes so much sense.
Yep.
Because why would you ever open up an empty like a console?
Exactly. And why would you even like look at storage units?
Man, okay, I think there's a lot to it. What you're talking about. You know why? I'm not saying this is how it happened, but I mean, why couldn't it have happened in some way, be connected to this type of a situation? Because he's already dropped out, but he's still living on his own.
Yeah, that's true. Also, one more thing. Offensive X also said something like, multiple phones is not an indication of selling drugs, especially if they had SIM cards attached to a specific owner. Oh wait, this is not connected, sorry. But it's like, yeah, multiple phones is also very interesting.
Yeah, exactly, right? Why so many phones?
And the consoles.
So how would this all work then? That Marshall was trying to get access to the storage because there were drugs in the storage, and then he needed them pretty badly so he could sell them?
Or he was hiding them. 2 hours and 30 minutes in a storage locker. Why?
Maybe he had some drugs on him. He needed to store them.
At 11:30 p.m. when
Yeah.
no one's around.
And then something from that side of his life occurred. Maybe it's even unrelated to the storage.
Yeah.
Maybe he went back to Calgary and something happened in Calgary.
I'm assuming so, yeah.
We don't know if
Yeah.
he immediately left towards Pemberton. And maybe he wasn't even driving the truck at that point.
Maybe someone else was.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also from the beginning of the story where you mentioned that he said something like, doesn't necessarily have to be school, blah blah blah. There are other ways. I don't know. From the sounds of it, it sounded like he had a career outside of uni.
Or at least he already had a way to make money.
Yeah, he was earning money. Like career in another field, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like he realized that I don't necessarily have to finish uni to earn something.
Mm-hmm.
From the sounds of it, just my personal take.
Man, this is very interesting. Not gonna lie. Do you think that that's what happened?
I would lean more towards something drug related, I would say, because he was very suspicious, and just the manner in which the car was burned, it seems for me like someone was trying to hide something. Phones were crashed.
You know,
Smashed.
I ran all of the stuff that we found through like AI to kind of give some explanation. So a few things that kind of popped out was that this could have been foul play involving criminal elements, possibly drug related. So kind of similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe the scary guy that M was talking about, maybe it's all a circle.
Maybe. I kind of found it hard to connect those dots for some reason. But if Daniel's stuff was actually at the car with Marshall stuff, and Daniel was a known, drug user, so that makes
more sense, but
a
we
lot
don't
more
know.
sense, yeah. Yeah, man. Okay, this was a very interesting. I'm very happy with the digging that you've done. You really opened my mind here on this one. I really think now that there were, console storage units,
It's like so much coincidences, no?
a lot.
Storage units, consoles, multiple phones,
Yeah,
smashed in.
very interesting. Well, I think at this point,
What are you leaning towards first?
honestly, you kind of threw this huge wild card, and now I need to do more thinking about it. But I think he had something to hide from his family for sure.
Seems like he was already hiding before.
Yeah, something. I'm not saying that Marshall was a bad person or anything like
Definitely
that, but I
not.
feel like maybe he had something that he wasn't telling the family, and I think it could have been drug related. Do you agree with me here?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just think that if it's self-inflicted, he went on extreme measures.
Yeah.
If it was a runaway, same thing. It's just I couldn't. I'm just leaning towards someone else did it, or
Yeah.
he was involved in some suspicious activity.
Well, on that note, I feel like it's a good time to wrap this one up. A lot of open questions.
Yes.
Guys, what do you think about Marshal Iwaasa's case? Do you think it could have some connection to Daniel Reoch? I know it might be hard to gauge his last name from the way I'm describing it, so I will add it in the description of this podcast, so you could Google Daniel's case as well. You could take a look at it, and thank you for listening as always.
Thank you so much.
And we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.